Welcome back to RT Talk, the weekly podcast about the company Rooster Teeth. I am Michael Poole, and Doug is with me again this week. Although somewhat in spirit, if you were watching this, we realized after we had recorded the entire episode and we're finishing, Doug, I think verbatim, said to me, when I went to stop my recording, I started it. So Doug has no video for this one, so instead I'm just going to replace him with various pictures of him and probably our dogs and just other stuff just to fill in for Doug's camera. So anything I mentioned about seeing Doug or like something, his reaction or doing something is not going to work, obviously. So unfortunately, that's lost. This episode, we do talk about a couple of issues that have happened this week. One being Jordan Battle, who is a 2D animator and kind of I don't know what you'd want to call it, but someone made a series of tweets about him and, you know, his political beliefs and some of his actions involving a wedding and coronavirus. And we talk about that for a little bit. I know it's a dicey subject to kind of get into, but we do talk about that for a little bit. We also talk about Extra Life, because Extra Life is happening when this goes up or comes out, whichever terminology works. Comes up is not the correct one at all. But we talk about that. We talk about Rwby going off of YouTube. We do talk about, I'm trying to think, we just recorded and I already forget what the hell we said. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, we go through a couple subjects this week. So this is probably the most subjects we covered in one episode in a while. So we bounce around on this one. But there's a couple times, too, we mentioned that we had a couple technical issues. So there's a few times where Doug doesn't even hear what I'm saying. So this has been quite an episode to record, if you can't tell by this intro. So enjoy the episode. If you're watching this, you can find the audio version of this podcast on pretty much everywhere podcasts are: iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all Google Podcasts, anything, everywhere that podcasts are pretty much. If you're listening to this, then this podcast is on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is just titled RT Talk Podcast. I have a link in the description that you can follow that'll take you to the YouTube channel. But I feel like I should just stop talking because everything keeps going wrong for this episode. So I should just quit while I'm ahead and just actually go into the real episode. So everyone enjoy Past Mike. Welcome, Doug. Welcome, audience. Welcome, listeners. Welcome, viewers. Welcome, everybody, back to RT Talk.
Welcome back.
We have returned again for more Rooster Teeth news, more things to talk about. A week that is, I guess, less severe than the previous however many weeks that we've been doing the podcast. Although, like last week, I was not entirely sure. I kind of like a vague idea what we'd be talking about for this episode, but like last week, at the kind of under the wire, a subject popped up that seemed worth talking about right out of the gate and worth kind of making this the subject of the video. And because it's something I don't know what kind of traction it's gaining across the entire community, but at least on the subreddit, because Doug and I have had some technical issues to start recording this, so we've actually been sitting here talking and hanging out for probably I don't know, like 2 hours now, something like that.
It was mostly me yelling lyrics at Mike.
With a giraffe head in, was that called Animoji? Is that what those are called?
I don't know. I think so. But Mike did not want to participate back in my singing. He had no part of it.
You're singing, you were yelling System of a Down at me, and yes. And you were also you were singing Tenacious D as well. But
that's what it started with, and you wouldn't jump in.
It's true. But when we started that, this had 200-something upvotes, and refreshing it has 466 now. And really? The comments have also doubled. There was 100 and something, now there's 211. So it's something that it's gaining traction on the subreddit. And it's really just a link to someone's Twitter that is calling out I don't know what his position is, to be honest. I know he is involved in the animation.
That was one of the points of the Reddit post. They were like, no one knows who this is, and no one's going to care until he gets fired.
Well, his name is Jordan Battle, He's an animator and stuff for Rooster Teeth. Honestly, well, I guess I'll just say the story that's out there and everything that's kind of building, and who knows where it's going to go right now. Is basically that he is accused of having or hosting a large gathering during COVID and spreading accusations that the Democrats are forging ballots in the U.S. election, alongside making the work environment toxic for staff of color, is what the title of the Reddit post is. Then it's linking to someone's Twitter, and again, I don't even know who this person is, but this is their giant thread they have about him. And originally they just said old coworker who had a huge wedding the same day COVID-19 deaths hit 220,000 is now on Facebook saying that Democrats are cheating, so that's neat. And then they followed it up with a tweet said, "Nah, fuck it, I'm not protecting them. It's Jordan Battle from Rooster Teeth 2D. Is this y'all's fave, RT fans?" Which is a silly thing to say because no one knows who he is. It's not like an on-screen personality or anything, as you said. And I'm not going to go through their entire thread because they have, I don't know, 25 tweets here, maybe, something like that. Maybe not that many, but there's a lot of tweets here talking about everything that kind of what the title of the Reddit post alluded to, the having a wedding and having I guess spreading misinformation about the election. I don't know, how do you feel about this whole thing? For me, that, like, I don't know, I don't feel very impacted by this story, to be honest.
And is that because he's not a big name or anything, or just because you're just like, well, this dude had a wedding and people just don't agree with his political beliefs?
It's it's probably a little bit of both, to be honest, because I'm sure if this was, like Trevor, I know we just talked about Trevor a couple weeks ago, or whoever, Gavin, did something like this, it would be a bigger story. But I don't know. It's like the wedding thing.
Yeah, so he's the co-director of Animated Adventures. Okay.
Yeah, so it's 2D, so like that's, I guess, like Camp and Animated Adventures, those types of things. But yeah, like the wedding thing, it's about, and they shared a photo of like a candid shot from his wedding, and there's maybe 20 people standing behind him from like this angle that they're taking the photo from, so who knows how many people are actually there. But you can see what's that?
I thought the post said how many people were there.
Oh,
I could be wrong.
So.
I thought it did, but I've been wrong plenty of times.
Well, that's what it said. Well, I was wrong last week. I texted you about it. Last week, whenever we were talking about Lisa's book, I was looking at the number 22, and I said it was number 2 overall. And in editing, I realized for whatever reason I just said it was number 2, even though I was reading 22, and I was embarrassed, and I felt foolish because I went at you and I called you. There's only one. I think I said there's only one idiot here dressed as a hot dog, and I said believe the person who's not dressed as like a hot dog right now. But in that moment, I was dressed like a hot dog, apparently.
Egg on your face.
All over. Full omelet. But I don't know if it said how many. They just said that it had a huge wedding the same day. And then a few tweets down is where they put a picture of his wedding saying, wondering about his wedding not being huge, here's a candid, and it's that photo. Because then it's followed up with a post about some of the stuff that he's been posting, I guess, on Facebook or something. And then they say, like, share the post on the Reddit. I don't care. Tired of seeing people. And then they just keep going about, like, how much they hate him and hate Trump. And saying something about how he was given a raise and how they weren't. And something, I think, it said he was friends with my old roommate who called my mom, and then a racial slur. They type it. I'm not going to say it. And my severely mentally ill father, and then more hurtful words. So I never liked the guy from the beginning. And
well, I mean, that is the reason to hate him for the biggest reason.
Yeah, I mean, they also follow up like this stuff with all allegedly too. But yeah, it's like, yeah, if if he said that, yeah, that's terrible. But yeah, but based on like what is on the subreddit for the wedding and him denying the election results, because I should probably also point out too, we're recording this on November 6th, so right now we do not know who the president elect is at this moment.
Nope.
It seems as though it's leaning one way, but we do not know the results right now, and we're in the midst of all of the "this is all fake" and everything stories that are going on. But and I think maybe we should just talk about, I mean, it's really kind of out of character for the show, but maybe on Out in the Grapes this week we'll get political, and we'll actually talk about the election and stuff in depth, and especially by that point we should have a much clearer picture of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we should have a president by then.
Or president-elect, which
yeah,
this could be a whole mess, but maybe we'll get to a little more than just Rooster Teeth on our podcast. But so yeah, the main point of the Reddit post anyway is the wedding and denying the legitimacy of the ballots and the voting that's happening right now. But yeah, for me, like I said, the fact he's not on camera, it's kind of like, okay, it does take some sting out of it. And also the wedding thing, it's like, it's obviously it's not a good idea,
no.
But it does make you, like, I guess whenever I see it, it does make me wonder, like, for instance, my family, we're not doing a Thanksgiving this year because of COVID.
Right.
And,
a lot of people aren't.
Like having 30 some odd people in a small house all right on top of each other. It was just, there was different family members that didn't feel comfortable. But before that, we had people that in our family saying that they weren't going to be coming for Thanksgiving for that same reason. So it's like it's obviously it's a bad idea because it's really like my big concern is I'm not necessarily worried about getting it for me. I'm worried about getting it and giving it to somebody else who then maybe can't handle it, or then they get it and then they give it to someone who
Right,
I'm worried about the chain.
Right, and that's the response you're supposed to have, not I can survive this, fuck everyone else.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say was clearly these are all people who don't care about it, who all got together. And it's like they also decided to go to the wedding. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, how much shame are you going to bring down on this group of people and like go after them about this thing? It's like, I don't know. I don't know what the correct response is here. Like, is that worth getting fired for? Is that worth like an entire community coming down on you? Like, I don't know. I just like, I don't know what, in terms of scales of what's fair and like, how wrong is what they did versus the potential wave of hate that's coming at them. Like, I don't know.
Right.
So I feel very like, I don't know. The whole wedding thing is like, I feel weird about it. Well, obviously, plenty of people who had to reschedule their weddings and did them very differently.
Yeah.
We're in the process of planning a wedding right now. That won't be until next year, but still all this stuff affects us too. So it's like, there's all stuff that we've had in mind, stuff I've been thinking about, but I don't know. When it comes to that specifically, it's like, I just don't know how I feel about it. Like, I was thinking about it today and I was like, it seems strange.
Well, I think that if you're going to hate the dude, you're going to hate him for being an asshole or racist or whatever he's saying about anybody's parents or anything. That's the reason
allegedly.
to hate this dude. Right.
Yeah. But, yeah, because the other thing, too, is like, yeah, clearly he's a, Trump supporter, if that's what he's buying into. He's a Trump supporter. And it's like, I kind of have the same sort of feeling, like, is that worth getting fired for? Like, not like, I'm not talking for him, I'm saying, but like from the company standpoint, like, does that make sense for them to fire him because he has maybe, some borderline opinions? I don't know.
Right. No, I mean, you're allowed to like whoever you like. You can't get fired for it. But,
and that's what I mean, like, that's because there's people like in the discussion for in here, like, there's people kind of saying some of the same stuff, and then there's people, obviously there's like I said, there's like 200 some odd comments, so I'm not going to like try to summarize all of them, but
no, I mean, like the wedding, maybe, we don't know how many people were invited. If it was only 20 people and they were smart about it.
Well, I think based on the picture, I would say there's definitely way more than 20, just because it's like, it's a candid shot of him, like, looks like they're dancing or something, because he's close to the camera and there's a crowd way behind him. And I'm guessing there's about 20 people in that background. So
it was all indoors?
Yeah. Well, it looks like it. It's hard to tell from the picture, but that's what it appears to be, is indoors. But again, it's hard to say exactly from this picture because maybe it's just, this could be a really nice exterior. It is all brick and stuff. I don't know. I can't tell. But I mean, either way, they're all right on top of each other. There's one person wearing a mask. But again, it's like, I don't know if bringing these, I don't know what the correct punishment for that is. If it means a whole community coming after you, but yeah, if that is what he believes in terms of, like, politically, you know, whether or not you agree with it, I don't know. I don't know what, I think that's really what, for both of these, I don't know how to feel about either of them, because it's like the internet has a history of taking things too far, and a lot of times the punishment doesn't fit the crime, and I feel like people get really carried away with stuff. And so when I see something like this, it's like, while I disagree with both of the things that, like, is being brought to light, I guess, here, I don't know, like, I'm worried about where it might go based on what happened. Like, it seems like this could easily spin out of control, especially since this person seems to have an axe to grind with him specifically. And it's kind of weird because at the end of it, they followed up with it's like they say, mandatory, the shit other than the Facebook post is alleged. Please no sue. I am small and have no money. You can imagine the kind of stress I'm under. And it's like, I mean, I don't know anything about this person, but I was like, that just seems like after shitting on a person in like 17 tweets or something, and like with clearly the only goal is to like expose them and say, look how terrible this person is. It was this weird like turn to say, hey, look, I'm just defenseless here. And then they posted that yesterday, and today they said, since this is getting traction again for some reason, it's like, you posted it yesterday. What do you mean again? When did it ever end? And they said, here's some clarity. I'm not here to try to get anyone fired. I literally don't work in the industry anymore. I'm just tired of being quiet. Being quiet about people with these ideals is the reason we got here. And I was like, okay, it's like, but then it's, I don't know. If that's real, it's like, if it's the ideals thing, I don't know. What it's like, what was your goal then? Just
make him look bad.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, this felt more like they had an axe to grind with him and this stuff, more so than this. More so than this feels like something that should actually result in real punishment or real, like, them getting fired. Like, it would be up to them. Like, I don't know about like the title of the Reddit post saying, making the work environment toxic for staff of color. I'm not sure. I kind of looked through some of the stuff here, but I don't know what that necessarily was pertaining to. I'm not saying that's misleading. I'm just saying I didn't see what they're talking about with that. But other than their claim, or what they said about what he may have said about their old roommate or something, whatever that chain was, said about her old roommate's mom or something.
Yeah, it was old roommate's parents. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like it's a real messy situation, and I just don't know, I guess, how I feel about the entire thing or what should happen out of this. Like, I don't really have a strong feeling one way or another. It's like, it's like you said, the thing that's, if what they're saying is 100% true and that what he said is accurate, then yeah, it seems like this maybe is a bigger problem than just political beliefs. It might go into some serious racism here, which obviously is something that needs to be addressed, and that is something that, yes, you can't have that. Yeah, you can't have that. But I feel like that would, at least in a lot of places, that would warrant like some type of investigation to see whether or not that's, how claim that is. They said they're not even looking to get him fired, but I don't know. It's one of those stories. I feel kind of similar about this story as I did about the Trevor story, where when it first got brought up, I didn't really know what to say about it, and because there wasn't a whole lot to go on. There was some stuff that like they point to, like the photo from his wedding and stuff, but and with posts from that, like he actually said, and since it's gaining traction on the subreddit, it feels like the story is more so about what's going to happen next, more so than what he's saying or is doing or whatever. But I don't know. It just feels weird because it just felt like it is a personal attack on him, and I don't know what should happen because of that.
Well, we'll probably find out in like we'll probably find out tomorrow or 20 minutes after we're done recording.
As there'll be some sort of type of announcement or Monday. If they even announce it, they might just happen. But
Right.
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of to me, it's a real gross situation. Just, I mean, from what he's saying and what he's doing, and I don't know. It's like when it's like having a vendetta, I guess, against somebody, and trying to just bring out all their stuff for the purpose of just, I guess, like public humiliation, because you know your friends and whoever would see it are gonna be sided with you. It's like that just seems kind of gross in a way.
Right.
It's like, because I mean, I'm sure he has plenty of friends and stuff that are, maybe he does have fans too, but that do side with him politically and his leanings, that he could then expose her for, and then they could all shit on her and attack her. It's like, that's also messed up. Like, it doesn't matter on which side you fall on. It's like, it's just that act alone, it just makes me feel kind of, I don't know. I don't feel very good about it.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't see him getting fired unless all the racist stuff and like the what did it say, like just derogatory is true. If that's true,
yeah,
I could see him getting bounced. But
yeah, it's a weird story. Like I said, the COVID thing, I don't know what to do with that. It's because it's like the only thing you could do is enforce people to not get together. Like, I don't know how you stop people from doing that, really. It's like, unless you actually make it like a law of the land, like a mandate to say no one can do anything together, in which case a lot of people are going to have a lot of problems. But
right. Well, I don't even know what the social gathering limits are anymore. I don't know. I assume they're going to start going down because the numbers are spiking again, but I don't know if it's like 20 people in a certain size room, or is it like if you're outside, it's more. I
yeah, I mean, because
no
for
idea.
us, I think ours went up to quite a bit. Like the group you could have was actually pretty big.
Bigger than it should have been, I felt, but
so I don't remember what it was, because I know at like the heat of it for us where we live, it was like you couldn't have like more than 20 people or something like that together. Maybe it got down lower than that, but it's somewhere around there.
20 sounds right, but yeah, it might have been. But like, because last weekend was Halloween, and everyone had parties, and everyone's posting pictures of like at least 30 people in someone's house, not wearing face covers, just wearing costumes and whatever. And I was like, well, are you guys just not giving a shit? I was like, this isn't gone.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are just kind of over it. Like, they just aren't following anything anymore. And, I mean, I've talked about, how we were never that hard hit, and people where I work and everything have been pretty loose with the rules, and a lot of below the nose mask wearing or just not wearing it at all.
Right.
Like I said, my big thing is I don't want to give it to somebody, and also now that we're going to cold and flu season, it's like I was thinking about, this is just nice in general that I could wear a mask and reduce my possibility of getting a cold or flu, just because I hate both of those anyway. It's like it's really annoying to have a cold for however many days where you can't sleep and you can't breathe. It's like, yeah,
right.
It'd be nice just to not get that this year. That'd be awesome.
Well, you gotta make sure your immunity's strong.
I have a pretty good immune system, but I don't know if you saw the picture. I'm holding up to my camera.
Yeah, I did see that picture.
So it's like, it is hard to tell if it is. I'm trying to get it lined up better. It's hard to tell if it's.
That to me looks like they're outside.
That's why it's like, it's hard to tell, because I could see it being either. It looks more outdoor like, especially since there's those big lights there. But I'm not 100% sure. It's like I can't say for certainty either way whether or not it is. But which, if it's outside, that does make it better, but still, I don't know. It's just a weird story, and I feel like I'm not the person to. I was like, I'm not the one who should be like giving judgment on this situation. It's like, I'm not a medical expert. All I know is the things that I read. That doesn't really mean anything for me. Like, I don't have any expertise in this field. It's like, all I know is what we're told about Corona and how we shouldn't be in these gatherings and all this stuff. So it's like I don't. I just feel very strange about it. I guess very odd. I'm just kind of torn because I don't know what the correct move is after this, especially when it came about in such like iffy scenario of someone just kind of bringing it up. You know, a former employee decides just out of nowhere to do this and then be like, "Hey, don't sue me." It's like this is a weird.
Don't sue me. I don't work there. I don't work in the industry. Don't sue me. And this guy sucks. Bye.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like, because really, it's kind of the same as me publicly blasting out. I mean, they obviously have more followers and stuff, but if I would post it up, you know, somewhere like on somewhere that's super left leaning about one of my coworkers who's a super Trump supporter, it's kind of just me doing the same thing. I'm just trying to like embarrass them and have them get attacked for just because of what they're doing. It's like, it just feels like a dirty little business to be in. But yeah, I really don't know what else to say because I just feel like I said, it seems the whole thing seems strange, and plus, I just saw it like it's just a couple hours old, so it's an evolving thing, and I don't know. It's just a tricky situation, so I think it's probably best just to move on to the other topics we have, which are much more positive and aren't as muddy and possibly tricky as that whole thing. But the other things we're going to talk about, I mean, we have some sort of, I guess just quickly, since this comes out the day all this will be starting, but Extra Life is this weekend. So the day this gets posted is when all the events kick off, but it is a week-long thing. So tomorrow...
November 7th.
Yes, tomorrow, November...
2020.
Oh, I burped. November 7th, what snuck up on me. November 7th, they're doing a 12-hour community stream, which I believe is what Phil was talking about whenever he was on.
Yes, Phil gave me his information, so you can, if you want to watch old Phil play some video games. It's they're doing 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. and it's twitch.tv/Rooster Buckeyes, and that's where you can find Mr. Phil Walter.
Did you mean 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
He said 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. If he did the typo, it falls on him.
Well, I'll say because it says 12-hour community stream, and 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. is significantly longer than 12 hours.
Maybe he probably meant 2 p.m., but I'm gonna just read exactly what he wrote in case he is right, and I'm wrong.
Well, let's bury Phil on this one. He's streaming.
Get him.
He's streaming forever on Saturday. But then throughout the week, though, starting on the 9th, it says 9th to the 13th, they're doing fundraising all week on RTTV, which is where they always do their live streams and everything. And then on the 14th, which is next Saturday, they're doing an actual 12-hour live stream, which is, I guess, more akin to standard Extra Life. Instead of it being a 24-hour stream of them on the soundstage, it'll be 12 hours of them trying to raise money and do stuff. So I mentioned the one we had Phil on and stuff. Like, I watch Extra Life like every year it goes on. So obviously this one's gonna be different, being at home and being having to be everyone on their own and quarantined and everything. But did
they release the new merch yet besides the paintball blanket? I just kept seeing the paintball blanket. I didn't see anything else.
Well, as Jack put up, I think it was either today or yesterday or something, which is probably hard to get back to where these were, because since all the voting and stuff is happening, it's most of his Twitter feed is voting related. But he did post the more graphics for Extra Life. I don't know about specifically, what these. I'm assuming this would be poster, or maybe this would be a blanket as well. But it's that same bullseye with the paintballs on it and moonballs laying on the ground with the Extra Life cloud behind it. Same thing with the other designs. There's one that's like a sunset version of it, where the clouds have like sunset colors, and the bulletin board. What's it? Oh, it just says it's like caution tape, but it says for the kids instead. But the color scheme's a bit different, so it's kind of just a alternate version of that same poster or same graphic, and the looks like the Extra Life symbol is looks a little more cloud-like than clearly the Extra Life symbol. But then there's a nighttime version, which is same thing, just different kind of colors with the night sky, and the constellation is the Extra Life symbol. And there's a final one, which is kind of like a negative, I guess, or like a neon of the nighttime one. So like the paintballs are lime green and yellow and like electric blue, and the bullseye, I almost said bulletin board. The bullseye is black and white, and like the sky is blue. The moonballs are green and blue. So it's like it's the same design, but like alternate versions of it. So that's all I've seen so far. It's, especially with like the election and everything else going on, I feel like my timeline and everything has been inundated with election stuff, and the like Extra Life news and stuff may have slipped by, but from where I'm sitting, that's all I've seen is those graphics.
That's all I've seen. I just didn't know if you caught something maybe I missed or one of those, like here's the first look at the shirts, but they're probably coming out, I assume, tomorrow.
I feel like maybe I did see a shirt, but I can't remember where right now to even try to find it to pull it up for the podcast. But yeah, so Extra Life will be going on, or like the community streams tomorrow, like when this initially comes out, which again is the 7th, and then the 9th through the 13th is when they'll be raising money for Extra Life, and then the 14th, November 14th, 2020, is the 12-hour stream that they're doing to raise money for Extra Life. But I feel like that should have been mentioned out of the gate because it's going to start the same day this comes out. So, and I guess out of the gate doesn't really apply to 30 minutes into an episode, but still. I guess maybe we'll just go through a couple this stuff. Well, yeah, I guess I'll just mention that Jack, because the Keeping the Lights On is the show they've been doing for a while since quarantine started. Mm-hmm. I think Jack said that once they knew they were going into quarantine, it was like the Tuesday before they were going in, and by Saturday they had Keeping the Lights On like up, and they'd already shot the first one or something. They finished like the first, I guess, season of it, I think is what they're referring to it as. And Jack said that he's actually going to be moving on from Keeping the Lights On, so it's kind of
he's over it.
Well, he's kind of up in the air on whether or not it'll be coming back, or what. It seems like it will be, but they're not sure what capacity or how it's going to work or who will be hosting or whatever. But he said that he's basically that he's not going to be the host anymore. He's going to be just going to work on other projects and stuff that they have in line, and they're trying to build and all that stuff. So Keeping the Lights On is over for now. It might come back, but when it does come back, it will be different. So for anyone out there who has been watching that, or I guess even listening to it through the app or whatever, it'll be in a different format in some way when it comes back. But that was announced this week, so it was worth mentioning on here. The last two things, I guess, are a little more conversational, but the new apps rolled out, the smart TV apps. So for I think it was like Roku and Amazon and stuff like that, but also for the Xbox.
It's Xbox, Apple TV, Roku, and I think Fire Stick, but it didn't go to like me and you have LG TVs. I don't think it's on there yet.
I didn't see that. I also haven't seen any mention of anything like a smart TV library or anything. Even when they talked about it, I think at RTX at Home, I think it was always like Roku, and it was always like the ones it came out for. I don't know. I'm not sure if it'll expand from there. I mean, the old app never did. So, I mean, maybe they're putting more like resources and effort into the app and are trying to build it up and build it out more. But so far, it's because most of the stuff I watch on YouTube, but so far my experience with the new app is it's like light years better than the old one. Like I know like some people are having issues, which is something weird that happens with the subreddit, where everyone, a lot of times the subreddit gets used for like tech support or like customer service, where people will post like, "Hey, I never received my order." And it's like, okay, well, contact Rooster, not the subreddit.
By store.roosterteeth.com.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure some of those people like actually do get answers and get solutions, but a lot of times you see like people posting about like an order that they had that came in damaged or the wrong thing or whatever it is. And for the new app, a lot of people, like, there was a lot of posts about it crashing or freezing or not working. Mine, it updated, and then whenever I tried to open it, I can't remember what it did exactly. It was like, I think the whole screen on Xbox went away and then opened again. It went away. It was kind of like going back and forth, and then finally it opened. But then I couldn't move around. I couldn't navigate on the screen. It was just frozen on. I forget what I don't know if it was login. I think it was like 3 or 4 options. And I couldn't like go down to log in, so I had to close it. And then when I reopened it, it worked fine. So I didn't have any issues with it, but like the way it's laid out is so much easier to find stuff now. Like they actually have the videos, all their videos in like chronological order. So if the most recent stuff is like at the top,
nice.
if you go like to the shows, they have like it broken down on the left where you can actually select like Achievement Hunter or Funhouse or whatever it is, and go to find their stuff. You can also go into the series. It's cleaned up a lot. And it's like, I'm sure it'll change from, like they'll make tweaks and adjustments and stuff. But I just feel like the old app on Xbox and everything was really an issue. And I talked about it on here before. But
yeah, I remember you saying you did not like it at all. So the phone app looks the same to me.
Yeah, I don't think this was just TV apps. This was smart TV stuff. But the old app, it was my problem with it was usually when I would open it, it would take sometimes several minutes in order like for all the thumbnails to even appear, and then you had to scroll through so much stuff to find what you were looking for, even new stuff. So like when we were watching Haunter or Hardcore Mini Golf or whatever, you would go into the show, and then it would be like, it'd be like a lot of times it'd be alphabetical, so you'd have to scroll through all the shows they've ever made to find, get to H for Hardcore Mini Golf. And even then, sometimes they'd be kind of off. But then even like if you would just go to like all the uploads for like Achievement Hunter or something, sometimes the video you were looking for would be here, like right up front, and sometimes it would be just not there, and it'd be like last week's episode, or like especially if we went to watch like, I don't know, like a stream or like Gmod or something on the site. When we went there, like you'd go like, okay, is this week's or is this last week's? Like I really don't know how to know how new or old this is, and
right.
It's just things were just kind of a mess. Like it felt like what it was. It was an old app that needed to be updated, and I don't even know how long, like how many times it had been updated since it first came out. No idea, but I had a lot of issues with it. It worked well enough that we were able to use it and stuff. And one of the big issues we had got fixed where I was constantly being logged out and couldn't log in, or it would freeze all the time. We had issues with that. That got fixed a while ago. But the old app, it was always some sort of issue with it. Just trying to find things was the biggest thing. Was the layout. It was the user, like the UI for it. So the new one, thus far, like I said, I haven't really used it a whole lot in terms of watching stuff. But when I was kind of test driving it and messing around in the app and everything, it was like, it felt like the old one came out in like 2008, and this one came out like 2018, we'll say. Like it's not like the cutting edge, like this is like the brand new, but it's such an improvement on the old one. So I am very happy that was cleaned up and I guess streamlined with the way that things are laid out and everything. But yeah, it's only on select devices right now, so if you don't have one of those devices, this doesn't really impact you. But
go fuck yourself.
Yeah. But if you watch on your actual TV without like doing a cast or plugging into an HDMI or something, then this is probably how you use one of these apps to do it. So, or maybe you gave up on the app a long time ago. It's worth giving a shot now. Maybe it still doesn't work for you in the way, but it's a huge improvement for me. Or at least in my opinion, for the experience of using the whole thing and trying to find things and everything else. So now I just got to find maybe since Rwby Volume 8's like about to drop in, I think like 2 days or something. I think it's like 24 hours away or 48 hours away. I forget when it exactly comes out, but maybe with that coming out, I'll go through and get caught up on Rwby, and
seems like the time to do it.
It makes a lot of sense. Got the new app. It's right here. everything's kind of falling in line. But sticking with Rwby is the last thing I had to talk about. But they took Rwby off of YouTube. They removed what they had, like the series, I guess pretty much entirely. It's, you know, I think they still have the like the white trailer, the one they did, like the introductions that Monty made to kind of pitch the show, essentially. I think that stuff's still on there, and I think that maybe there's a few, like, you know, things are closer to like advertising than they are the actual episodes. But they took the episodes off of YouTube. Also, they took it off of Rwby, but they took it off of YouTube, and there was some people that were upset. Obviously, Rooster Teeth really can't make a move right now without people thinking there's some grand conspiracy going on, and it has to be, you know, the higher ups. It's because this is failing. It's because this is going wrong, or, you know, whatever. So there's always something like that. And they put out a blog post where you can. I think I just looked up Rwby off YouTube, I think, and it was like the second or third result, and it's a blog post just called 8 Myths About Rwby on YouTube, and they kind of go through and list a few things, or they address a few things that I guess like kind of the most frequent criticisms or questions or whatever. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but I'll just say like the points they cover. These are all like myth 1, myth 2, myth 3. But the first one's Rwby is easier to watch on YouTube than on Rooster Teeth. That's the first one. This move was forced upon Rooster Teeth by Warner Media. The Rooster Teeth apps don't have closed captioning. More people watch Rwby on YouTube than on Rooster Teeth. Putting Rwby on YouTube drives discoverability of Rwby and Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth can monetize Rwby better when it's not on YouTube. Not having Rwby on YouTube will drive increased piracy. And this is the beginning of Rooster Teeth abandoning YouTube altogether. So they address all those points. For what I would say, to varying degrees. Like the putting Rwby on YouTube drives discoverability, they put like somewhat true. So they at least like they're addressing the point, but it's not like they're just debunking every single thing that is said. I think even like the first one, that's easier to watch on YouTube, they said it just says subjective, but I'll go ahead and say false. It is subjective. I would say it's easier to watch on YouTube, but I watch Rwby on the site anyway. So,
but Rwby, because I feel like right now Rwby's like their big thing, and you know maybe it is Warner Media or whoever. Like they're like, all right, let's take it off YouTube because we want it behind let's say a paid platform only, whether it be Prime or I don't know if it's on HBO Max or
on Prime.
Behind. Well, all the Rwby is on Prime.
Oh, it is?
That's what I was gonna catch up on. I didn't
even know it was on Prime. Yeah, I mean, it probably has a little bit to do with the fact that they did just roll out their new app. I mean, pulling the one of your biggest shows back to your thing in, like, I don't know, the timing seems like it could be coincidental, but I guess I wouldn't be surprised if there was some type of announcement or something was said about how this was. I guess it wouldn't be an announcement, but if they just said, like, you know, or it was found out that this was because of the apps, because what better way to promote your new thing than to have one of your biggest shows, one of the biggest things you produce, on your site only, and people can't use a different service for it.
Right. But I do agree that people are going to pirate it way more.
I mean, you can still watch it on the site, so it's not like you don't have to be a first member. I think you have to be a first member to watch, and this could be completely wrong, so I admit that immediately. But I want to say you have to be a first member to watch Rwby, maybe like in a certain window, and then after that window, you can watch. Anyone can watch it. So I don't know if that would be enough to cause people to pirate it more, or not. I don't know. I wonder how rampant pirating is for Rooster Teeth stuff. It's funny, like that didn't even occur to me to pirate anything.
No, not even get fire with the old uTorrent.
Yeah, to blow the dust off of it, load it up. But yeah, I don't know. I remember what the window. I think it used to be like, the new episode would come out and it would be first only for like 1 or 2 days or something like that, maybe like a week, and then whenever the new episode came, like the next week's episode came out, first members could watch it, and then the previous episode was public for I guess for everybody. It's public, but it was something like that. But yeah, I don't know how it's gonna work with them going strictly to the site. But yeah, like I said, it was what was the name? 8 Myths About Rwby on YouTube. If you want to go through and see how they address all those different concerns or questions or whatever criticisms that people have had for them taking it off of YouTube. I didn't even know that they were still uploading Rwby to YouTube that frequently. Like I know like what was it? The first season maybe? So one of them was on there. Maybe it was the first couple seasons on YouTube.
I don't remember. I mean, I watched it on Netflix, and I wish it was still on there.
Yeah, that's where I watched the first 2 volumes too. But yeah, I didn't know that they even had that much on there. But maybe that's what they're. I mean, it could have just been the first couple seasons. That's what they took off there. But as usual, things get blown out of proportion, and I know people were like upset as usual. But I don't know. I didn't even know it was on YouTube, or I feel like it doesn't really affect me having seen the older ones if it is only the older ones. But I heard that they were taking off of YouTube, and I was like, oh, okay. Put it on their site.
Right, but yeah, if people want to watch it, just go to the site. You can be mad all you want, but if you want to watch it, they're telling you where to go, and it's not behind a paid wall.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too. YouTube is not their thing. They have their own site where they can host this entirely. They don't need to have it on YouTube. So if if they're not really getting a benefit from having on on YouTube,
RootTube,
yeah, on RedTube.
No,
and we covered that story a couple weeks ago with the guy who was making the sexually explicit Rwby things. Or I guess it was probably a couple months ago now. But yeah, it's like if they're not really seeing a lot of benefit from having it on YouTube, like it helps with like they address the discoverability and stuff. But I don't know, Rwby's kind of in its own world now too, where it's been out long enough. I mean, there's still markets and there's ways you can grow the show, but I don't know, does YouTube help them out a ton with that? Or, if it's on their site, all the traffic now goes to them. I don't know. It seems to make sense to me. It's if they can bring people in, because they even said in that point about driving traffic, they said more people watch Rwby on the site in the last 12 months than they did on YouTube. So they obviously get people that are getting pulled in to watch it on the site. So if it makes sense to them, I don't really have any. I don't have any issues with it. It seems to make sense, like business wise, to have your thing strictly on your platform, especially when it's the success that Rwby is.
And that's been their motto, is have your own site. Don't trust somebody else to host all your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because like everyone found out that was a YouTube personality or YouTube, that like they made their living off of YouTube videos and content. That when the whole adpocalypse thing happened, it took. I mean, there's certain people that had to walk away because they no longer could afford to continue doing their show because the ads were just gone and they couldn't keep producing their with their staff and this building and everything else, and there was groups and people that just they ceased to exist in terms of a content creator because everything shut down. So it's like, yeah, you're at the whim of that company and what happens with them and what decisions they make, and this way they have complete control, and that's a valuable thing to have. So yeah, that's all I had for this week's episode. I feel like we wandered into some potentially dangerous territory with the first story, but what are you gonna do? I don't know. If you have any issues with anything we said, feel free to comment on the video or whatever. I don't know what Doug made a very alarmed, confused face. What was that about?
Well, my video is cutting in and out, so I don't know what you're saying unless it was really loud.
Oh, that'll show up on the video, so at least people now can see when you make a weird face what halts me in my tracks. So now if you If you're only listening to this, as I keep mentioning, you can watch this on YouTube now. We've finally done it. We have the video podcast up and rolling. Hopefully this week is exactly what happened last week, and we can just get this up the same day. But yeah, you can watch this now. But yeah, if anyone had any issue with the first part of this, or your own opinions, or anything like that, feel free to comment on the video, and we'll be there. We'll be there to chit chat with anybody. So other than that, I think we're done, Doug.
Just check out Extra Life. Buy some of the exclusive merch like Mike does. I haven't bought any ever.
I'm missing the last couple years. I did for, I think I forget how many years I had the exclusive poster.
I'd say at least 4. If I can think off the top of my head.
I don't know. I had to go find out which ones are Extra Life ones. Well, I actually forget about a few too because they're still at my mom's house, and I want to. Or no, I think maybe I do have.
There's a poster tube right behind you.
This might be one of them.
I assume it is.
This is like an unboxing.
You don't buy many posters.
No, but I don't remember because I did. The tab broke.
Yeah. The box ripped.
Okay, let me try this again. This is thrilling for anyone just listening.
It says Mike unbox. He's flipping the tube over, looking confused. Look, he got it open, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies.
It's a white poster.
Damn it! I'm trying not to rip it. It's really stuck in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Ladies.
Ladies.
Yep. I say this is the one I had at my mom's house, and I was like, I keep wanting to bring that down here. I guess I did bring it down here. It's the Nintendo.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones.
When they did the old NES game.
It's like a Mario. I think it's a ripoff or a play on the Mario artwork.
Yeah. So I actually forgot that I brought this down here. Now, granted, we don't really have a lot of wall space, so I have to find where that would make sense to put up. And also remember that I brought it down because this poster tube has been sitting here for a long time, and I did not remember that I brought this down here. It's literally been in every shot since we've been doing this. It's just been sitting back here.
Go buy a frame for $5. Hang it next to the Achieve. What was the poster I gave you?
Achievement City's right there. Right next to me.
Well, that was a terrible frame. The frame is very bent.
Oh, it's hanging from the frame right now. I did that I was like, I'll just put it like this, and then I'll actually hang it up properly. And it's been like that ever since. It's probably going to fall on me one day. But hopefully we'll be doing the video when that happens. If we ever get hit by a small earthquake again, it's coming down.
We get hit by an earthquake?
Oh, 2000, I don't know, 11, 10, something?
Oh, well, yeah. I don't remember
it hit DC, and we felt the aftershocks up here. It was very, 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 very light. It was the only reason I even knew it hit is because I was an absolute slob, and I was sleeping at 3:30 in the afternoon. And it's because my limp, just dead body was laying in bed, and I started to slowly kind of shake back and forth, and I was like, I'm having a seizure. This is a stroke. And I was convinced that something was happening because I didn't know what was. I was so confused because it woke me up that, and I was just getting moved back and forth, and I was like, and I was looking at my clock on the wall, and I could see it moving, and I was staring at that, going, "This is me dying. This is." I was so convinced I was having a serious medical issue in that moment, and then it kind of stopped. I think I sat up, and when I sat up, I was like, is my clock moving still? And I kept staring at it. When I laid down and just sat there, I could feel I would start moving again. And then it was I don't know. I think after it finally stopped, I just went back to sleep. And when I got up, I saw that there was a story about, I want to say it was 2010. There was a story about an earthquake that hit DC, and the aftershocks were felt as far as, I forget how far away. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, what time was it? And I looked, and it was 3:30 in the afternoon. That was it? I was like, that's what happened. But I was so confused in that moment because we don't get earthquakes here ever. And then I remember I told my mom, and she didn't believe me. Yeah, right.
I'll say it. I don't remember anything I remember it happening when you mentioned it, but I don't remember being affected by it at all.
If I wasn't sleeping in that moment, I would not have felt it. It was just enough that like I was just like softly getting rocked back and forth, and that woke me up. I was like, "What?"
It sounds kind of nice though.
Well, not when you're dead asleep. I mean, whenever if someone just came up and just started like just moving you back and forth and shaking you a little bit as you were sleeping, you're gonna wake up. Especially when you've already been asleep for like 6 hours.
That's because for me it'd be a ghost in my apartment trying to wake me up.
We've recorded your ghost. We heard the things fall. We know the spirits are there, Doug. Just like Phasmophobia. You know that game?
I've heard everyone talk about it. I've not watched any gameplay. I don't know much about it.
It'd probably scare the shit out of you.
I don't know anything about it, to be honest.
It's a ghost hunting game. You go in with like EMF detectors and everything else, and then you try to find a ghost, and then you try to collect evidence to identify the ghost, but the ghost can also kill you. So it's been a big streaming game, and I think like Achievement Hunter and stuff has played it quite a few times, or I mean not quite a few, but a couple times. So
yeah,
it's a big game right now. It's a spooky game.
Spook.
You'd probably hate it, but
I might.
Kind of took this podcast into Out in the Grapes territory, but meh, who cares? We kept it somewhat relevant with me realizing I have a poster behind me, but let's end this. We had all our technical difficulties. We've had issues, and we almost made this a late night podcast again. It almost happened again, but we did not. So we thank everyone for listening. We thank everyone for watching. Follow the podcast, subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening or watching this. If you're watching this, we know it's YouTube, but still, you know what I mean. We have our podcast a week, and we're not exactly burning out. We've been doing this for 84 weeks in a row, Doug.
84
weeks in a row. 9
Your
weeks
videos...
with 2 podcasts. What?
Your video I didn't know what you're saying.
Oh.
You just came back with podcasts.
I thought you said and videos, but
no. All right, we gotta stop because my feed's getting bad. So
yeah, Doug's dropping out again. So we'll just lose Doug, and then it'll just be me, and then I'll just talk to all of you at home. But
I leave.
that's how you exit. I leave. Well, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening. Doug, leave.
Bye-bye.
Doug, leave. What did you say last week? Oh, no. Not last week. On Out in the Grapes. Okay, goodbye. But Doug.
Yeah.
There we go.